Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Recovery Classroom. My name is Drew. I am an alcoholic, and today I'm a recovering alcoholic. I could not be any more grateful. Other people will notice that change in ourselves long before we ever do. Bet on it. Bank on it. Matter of fact, one of my favorite sayings is change is the only constant. The only constant in this world is change. If we look at our bodies, look at the world around us, and we break it down to the most microscopic level, cells are constantly dying off and being recreated. New cells are being created. So we're in a constant state of change. And sometimes when we are early in our sobriety, early in our recovery, it's easy for us to get disappointed, to get discouraged, to become depressed, really, because we think we should be here when in fact we're supposed to be here, but we can't tie the two together. And I know for me in my early sobriety, I felt like I was changing. I of course, now for me it was a little different because I was shedding a ton of weight, so I had something to kind of gauge by. So I felt like I was changing. But I remember people coming up to me and saying, "Hey, I can tell. I can see that change. I can tell by the way you speak. I can tell by the things that you say and the words that you share with folks. They could hear. They could not only see the change, but they could hear the change." I know, like I said, I know can be discouraging and disappointing for people in early sobriety, but I go back to this. There will be people in your lives, and sometimes they're the people you least expect to see the change before you ever see it. Was talking with an alcoholic yesterday, and I got to share the story. It's a story I don't share too terribly much. I have shared it before at a few meetings here and there, but it was poignant. It was pertinent, and it had everything to do with what we're talking about today, so I figured I'd come on and share it with you guys. The other day on the monologue, I talked about my kids and how smart they were. They would forgive me long before I could ever forgive myself. And I know my son, my son was critical in the early days of my sobriety. Keep in mind, my son was 12 years old at the time, and he would cry. He would catch me drinking. He would start crying, and he'd be like, "Dad," these words, "Oof, Dad, your dad died when you were 16 years old. I'm not going to make it to 16 before you die. Why don't you just stop?" And time and again, I would tell him, "Yes, I'm going to stop. Yes, I'm going to stop." And I'd stop for a day or two, and I'd start sneaking again. And then sure enough, he'd catch me again. And "Dad, why don't you stop?" "Sure, I'll stop." And I'd stop for a day or two, and then I'd start sneaking again. It's a ridiculous cycle over and over again. So by the time midsummer of July of 21, I had no credibility left with my kid. All my kids, in my mind, they thought I was just a piece of shit. But again, all they wanted for me was to move past my past and start moving forward. But I couldn't see that, right? Fortunately, by July of 21, I decided to get sober. And I know my son was apprehensive, as he should be, because, again, how many times did I tell him I was going to stop and didn't? So I understand he was, it made sense that he was watching every single move and just kind of going, "Yeah, okay, whatever, Dad, you're full of shit." I get it. But I noticed a change in him. Matter of fact, there was something that happened with him that was really marked for me. It really drove home the point that other people are seeing this change in me, and so I must be doing good. I was about maybe 3 or 4 months in sobriety. I wasn't too terribly long in. And my son was 13 by this point. And anybody that's had a 13-year-old son, there are times where you might have to go through their phone, and you never know what the fuck you're going to open up. You never know what the fuck you're going to see. And so anyway, I had to go through his phone for some reason. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't anything bad. It wasn't like I was searching for anything bad. But I do remember I was picking up his phone, and I was going, "Oh, shit. Here's my 13-year-old son. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to find when I open this phone up." But anyway, I just happened to open it up, and I looked at like his call log, and there was a picture. It said it had my number anyway, and it was a picture of a barnyard animal. A barnyard animal, the little caller ID icons for every single person that calls. Well, he had a picture of some fucking barnyard animal, a jackass, donkey, a goat, something like that. And I was like, that's what he thinks of me? My son thinks I'm a donkey? I'm a barnyard animal? I'm a farm animal? And I clicked on the thing and clicked on the contact, and it came up and said, "Goat." And I was like, my son thinks I'm a fucking goat? What is it? And I remember how discouraged and disappointed I felt that my son thought I was a goat. I'd been reduced. All the credibility I'd lost over the years had reduced me, in my son's mind, to a barnyard animal, to a farm animal. And I remember standing there in his room. I was just so disappointed. Just like, oh man, I thought, he would have thought, in my mind, he should have thought more of me than that. But at least by that point, again, I was only like 3-4 months into my sobriety. I was doing good. But in my mind, it's like, again, I thought I should be here whenever I really should have been here. But I remember when he came in his room and I said, hey, can I talk to you about something? And he goes, yeah, well, what's up? And then he goes, what do you got my phone for? And I said, is this what you really think of me? You think I'm a farm animal? You think that I just need to be put out to pasture? Is that really what you think of me? And his face was just looking at me and was like, Dad, that's a goat. Yeah, I know, and that makes it even worse, dude. Does that mean I need to be put further out the pasture? What does that mean? I don't understand. You got a picture of a, I guess it's a goat. I couldn't really see it. It's really small. And you've got my name as Goat, but it's my phone number. He said, Dad, it's Goat, greatest of all time. By 3 months in, my son had already seen the change. My son saw that I was turning it around. My son saw that it was time for me to start rebuilding some of that credibility. And everything he had seen up to that point, in his eyes, made me the greatest of all time. Talk about a blessing. That's something you just can't put a price tag on. Don't expect too much of yourself early on. Again, other people will notice that change. Other people will notice that change in you long before you ever do. And especially in the eyes of your family, especially in the eyes of your kids. You too may just end up being a barnyard animal, a farm animal, and being the greatest of all time in their eyes. With that being said, I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys for letting me come in and share 5 to 10 minutes of your day with you. You guys keep me sober, and I cannot be any more appreciative. If there's a topic you'd like to hear discussed, feel free to drop it in email to me, Drew, D-R-E-W, at recoveryclassroom.org. I'll take a look at it, see what we can do. We'll be talking again soon. Remember, guys, you can't get drunk if you don't take that first drink.